Hey guys, so today's video is going to be on cleaning a gecko's or other reptiles simplistic style tank. So today Lynetta's tank is kind of dirty and she's due to have a tank cleaned, so I'm going to clean her tank today, and there are two different methods that I know of in particular that you can use. But I've only used one, and I'm only going to be using one in this video. However, I will be explaining the other method. So the tank is kind of dirty, partially because it needs to be cleaned, and partially because I've been fighting a cold for the past couple days, and it's better now, but I have not had time to clean her tank when it probably should have been cleaned, but it was only a couple days, it's not that bad. And also she spilled her calcium dish, so there's calcium all over the floor. But, so I'm going to clean her tank. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using Dawn dish soap and hot water as the primary tank cleaning, primary things I'm using. Just Dawn dish soap and water. And that's because Dawn dish soap helps get rid of the germs, and the water rinses off the Dawn dish soap. And then I'll have to dry it off, obviously, but that's kind of self-explanatory. So without further ado, I'm going to get started getting her tank, all the furnishings out of her tank and getting her out of her tank, and then I will start actually cleaning the tank. Okay, I hope this is the, I hope this works, I hope you can see and everything, but I'm just going to open the lid on the tank, and first I'm just going to take out the things that right away Lynetta is not going to, like it's, if I take out the hide that she's underneath, she will notice it and get a little stressed. And I'm going to take out everything else first so that I can take her out last and she won't be overly stressed. So these hides are a little big for leopard geckos. I recommend you have smaller, more secure hides, but now that she's an adult and she's used to these hides, they work well for her. I got her not knowing that the hideouts should be a little smaller, and it's not going to kill her or anything, and it's just if they are not used to them, they can be stressful. So I would recommend you get smaller hides than I have here, but if you don't, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So I'm going to put Lynetta into a Sterilite shoebox while I clean her tank, so that she's not getting into trouble. She's staying away from the chemicals. If you were using bleach, she is staying away from the chemicals, and she isn't, going to get missing while you're cleaning her tank. So I'm going to real quick just go grab that shoebox and put Lynetta into it. Here is the shoebox with Lynetta in it. I took the liberty of putting her in there off of the camera because I figured you probably know how to put a gecko into a shoebox. If you don't, then, well, I'm going to assume that you do, because you literally put the gecko into the shoebox. So she's going to be in there. I'm just going to set her aside, and it will be a little stressful for her. So I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible because I don't want her to be stressed, but it's not going to stress her to the point where it's dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bin, just a regular tote, and I'm going to put all of Lynetta's cage furnishings into that bin, except for the cage carpet, and I'll show you why I'm going to put the cage carpet in later in a minute here. I forgot to mention something earlier, and I'm going to say that now. So this is Lynetta's calcium dish, and she's been eating a lot of it because she is breeding, so that's why there's not a lot in there right now. But the calcium dish, you don't want to waste the calcium, so what I do so that I can keep the calcium and still clean the tank and disinfect the dish is I'll just take like a cup from like mealworms or waxworms or something like that. In this case it's from waxworms from the local pet store, and I just get most of the calcium into there, and if some of it doesn't go in there, you have more calcium, at least you should, but you get at least some of the calcium to go in there that's still usable for the gecko. So that's just one thing that I like to do. You don't have to do that, you can just clean it with the calcium still in it, or actually probably dump out the calcium first into the trash or something, but if you're like me and don't want to have to waste multivitamins or calcium, then you should try to save them before cleaning the dish, because you still need to clean the dish. So yeah, I'm going to put everything into that bin and then show you what to do with the carpet. So I just put all of the hides and dishes into this bin, and if the bin looks dirty, it's just because my brother was using it to disinfect pieces of wood for his gecko, and he kind of started and then never finished. So I just have a bunch of wood pieces in there that are disinfected, but are actually also stuck to the bottom of the bin. And since I'm going to be cleaning everything in here anyway, I figure as long as they're non-toxic, non-parasitic, all that, it'll be fine for me to just wash everything in there and then only use the gecko stuff like the hides and dishes. Usually there would be more in here, humid hide, plants, etc., but I removed all that for this couple months of breeding, because I figure she's not really out of her hideout that much except for to eat and lay eggs and poop and all that, so she doesn't need the decorations, and the humid hide was replaced with an egg laying box, but I took that out just a couple days ago because I needed to replace the vermiculite, because she had dug all of it out of her enclosure, and out of the laying box. Why didn't I remember that? So I needed to replace the vermiculite, so I took it out for a couple days, and I haven't gotten it back in there yet, which I will get in as soon as I'm done with cleaning her tank, since I'm putting back together the tank anyway. So usually it would be more in here, but for now this is all I have, just because breeding, you don't really need as much enrichment or decorations as you would usually, and then the lay box I have to replace the vermiculite. So I'm going to go back into my room, because we are in the bathroom now, because we're going to need to use the tub to clean the all the decoration, hides and dishes, and the substrate. So I'm in the bathroom right now, but I will be going back into my room and showing you how I clean the actual cage carpet substrate itself. So a lot of people say that they don't like to use cage carpet for reptiles because it can harbor bacteria. And I'm not sure about if it actually can or can't harbor bacteria, but just to be on the safe side, I make sure I clean it really, really well. So what I do, so it's as you can see, there's a bunch of loose substrate, some calcium that got wet and then just kind of caked into a chunk of calcium, and then there's pieces of crickets, dead crickets. Not many dead crickets, just a couple that she bit into and then lost a hold of and didn't get it for some reason. And there's a couple paper chunks from when I had her on paper bedding, and then even underneath the carpet there's quite a bit of dust, whatever. So what I'm going to do is just take out the carpet, and I'm going to go dump it in the trash. And the stuff likes to stick to the carpet, but if you wipe it off, hit the carpet a couple times to make sure the whatever debris comes off, it cleans it a lot better. So just grabbing the trash for this room, and I will just move the camera so you can see a little better. And this is the trash right here, and I'm just going to, how do I want to do this? First, I'm going to do it sideways so that all of the debris that's just there comes off. And then, well, that worked pretty well. There's not actually a lot of debris left on here, and this paper stuff just never comes off for some reason, so I just put this side on the bottom of the tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually disinfect this now, because I got most of the stuff that's going to come off. So I'm going to get this disinfecting along with everything else, and then I'll actually come back to the tank itself and clean that. So this is the bathroom again. This is where I'm going to disinfect everything. So this is the bin with all of my stuff in it. This is the substrate, the cage carpet, and then the hides and dishes are all in there. So what I'm going to do first is just set aside this cage carpet, because that has to get a lot of debris off of it that's kind of stuck to it, whereas everything else, nothing really sticks to it. So what I'm using here is Dawn dish soap. It's non-toxic for reptiles as long as it's, you know, rinsed off well enough. It's not like safe for reptiles if you like have a dish of it in their enclosure, but as long it's safe to use on reptile things that you're cleaning or stuff like that. So I'm using Dawn dish soap here. You can also use bleach or ammonia. At 1 part bleach or ammonia to 10 parts water, but I have not tried that with this kind of, with actually cleaning the decorations and hides and dishes and all that. I have used the bleach to kill parasites and whatever in wood that I've then put into my gecko's enclosures, and that has worked well. And I also have used the bleach solution for cleaning the actual gecko's tank, which actually that's what I'm using today, to clean the actual tank itself. So it is, you can use bleach, you can use whatever, but I recommend using Dawn dish soap just because it works well and it's cheap and it's not going to kill your reptiles. If you do too much bleach or too much ammonia, it could kill the reptiles or at least cause health complications, so just be mindful of that. So what I'm going to do is just move this entire bin into the tub here, and you can't really see it right now, but you don't really need to. It's not, nothing really is happening much. I'm just going to unscrew the actual shower head. You could also use a hose if you wanted to. The only thing I don't like about that is it only gives you cold water. You don't have any hot water, which you really want to use hot water for this. So I let the actual like hose thing dangle, and then turn on the water. Now that's going to fill up the entire bin with hot water, and I'm also going to add in Dawn dish soap all over everything, because I want to make sure that everything is getting, that there's a lot of Dawn dish soap in here so that everything's getting nice and clean. And then when the hot water comes, I will like move the bin back and forth so that there's the soap gets distributed all over the inside of the, like all over the water and all that, so that there's no there's no places on the hideouts where there might not be enough soap to, you know, disinfect it. And then when I take it out of the, and then I'm actually going to, after it's been soaking for a couple of minutes, I'll take it out of the water and then scrub it with a rag in Dawn dish soap, so that everything that doesn't just get killed with the hot soapy water will get killed, or at least taken away when I use a hot soapy rag. And then I will put it back into the hot soapy water, dump out the bin, rinse everything so that there's no more soap, and then dry it off. But with the cage carpet, it's going to be a little different because, like I said, there's all this stuff on it. So while this thing is filling up, I'll just drape this over the side of the bin, and I'm going to move the camera so you can see it. So I just drape that over the side of the bin, and I'll just spray it with this hose thing here, so that it will it'll still fill up the bin at the same time, because it's on the inside for the most part, and partially on the outside, but mostly on the inside of the bin. And then it also, and then all the water that drips off will go into the bin. And then this way it can soak in hot hot water right now. And then I'll add soap to it and do the whole thing, the same thing again, so that it's first getting wet and hot, and then it's getting soapy wet and hot, so that it actually, you know, disinfects it and makes it safe for the gecko to use again. So I think this is thoroughly soaked, so I'm going to let that continue to get the hides and dishes completely wet and all that. And then I'm going to, while I'm waiting for that, I will drizzle a little bit of soap on the cage carpet. And that's not working very well right here. Oh gosh. Alright, that's not working very well right here just because it's not, I can't get enough soap on it. So I'm going to move it a little like that, and then just drizzle soap all over it. And what this will do is when I spray it with hot water, it will, the soap will start sudsing up and spreading all over the cage carpet and then disinfecting the whole cage carpet at the same time. After that, I am going to, actually right now, I'm going to soak the cage carpet in the water, make sure it's really getting good, a good amount, like it's really getting soaked in the water there, and then after that, I'll make sure all the soap's out of it by spraying it with the water and making sure no more suds come out, it doesn't smell like dish soap or anything like that. So while we're waiting for this to fill up and then soak, I'm going to get Lynetta's actual tank cleaned so that she can get into the tank as soon as possible. So as you can see here, the tank is actually really, really dirty, so I'm not sure exactly why it's so dirty. I mean, over here it's probably because some of the debris fell off of the carpet, but actually other than that, I think it might actually be mealworm feces. I was feeding her mealworms briefly when I ran out of crickets, but she was not interested. I didn't know at the time, and so she just ignored them, and they burrowed under the carpet, and I got the mealworms out eventually because I realized what was happening, that she wasn't eating them, she was letting them get away, but I didn't clean up the feces right away, so I think that might be why there's all this dust in the bottom. But what I'm going to do is going to take paper towels, and I'm just going to first what I'm going to do is just get up all the excess stuff that if I was to get it wet would probably turn into some sort of mud, which would not help us clean it up. So I'm just going to get all the excess stuff off of here, and then I'll scoop it out and put it into the trash. So also some of this looks like it's calcium as well, so it either fell or she dumped it into the underneath her carpet, like along the sides, and I just scooped it up. I don't know, but I'm just going to continue getting all this until most of it is cleaned up. It's kind of slow business here. I would be cleaning this, ideally what I would be doing is putting this entire tank into the tub along with the, well actually instead of the bin that is holding all of the furnishings, and just clean it at the same time as I'm cleaning everything else. The problem is I have a heat mat connected to the bottom of this tank, and I don't want to unstick it because that will void the warranty, and I really don't want to do that because if it ever breaks I'll want to have the warranty. But it is a little difficult because I can't get that wet obviously, so I need to clean this aside from the tub. So what I'm going to be doing here is, now that I have the excess stuff scraped off or cleaned off, so this is 10% bleach solution, and so is this. This is a bigger bottle because I figured I'd probably need a bigger bottle for a lot of things, but a smaller bottle works. It's just smaller. So I'm just going to spray it everywhere on the inside of this, and it's going to smell like bleach for a while, but what I'm going to do is after I spray it with bleach water, I will spray it and it soaks and then cleans it off and everything. I will soak it in regular fresh water, same way, and I'll do that several times until there's no more bleach smell in this tank, and that's when I know it's safe for Lynetta to be back in here. So I'm just going to spray the entire tank with this bleach solution. Definitely smells like bleach. You can also use, let me see here. I don't think I still have the actual container for it. Well, ZoomEd has Wipeout 1, or maybe that's Wipeout 2, I don't remember. Either way, they're some sort of chemical that is used to clean reptile tanks. I used it for a while, it worked well, but it was relatively expensive compared to bleach, bleach in water solutions. So I don't continue to use it, but that's the only reason. It worked well. It just was not my first choice as far as cost and all that went. So this is just getting completely well soaked and saturated with the bleach, because the bleach is the only thing that's killing the germs that there are building up in this tank. You and I, we live in an environment where we can go anywhere we want, so our germs are being dispersed all over everywhere. But if we were to just stay in one spot or one small space for however long, we would be likely to get some sort of illness, either because our immune systems were down in such a sterile environment without any new bacteria, or because our own bacteria multiplied and eventually infected us. There was actually a case in Antarctica, so basically not a lot of bacteria living outside of the base, and these people lived in the base in complete isolation for several weeks, and then there was an outbreak of the common cold. So that was just a small example of people can have outbreaks of small infections or large infections after they have been in complete isolation of anything that will enhance their immune system for an extended period of time. And same thing with reptiles. So just keep that in mind when you are keeping a reptile in a small space. It's repeatedly coming into contact and adding to its feces, and the feces has bacteria, salmonella bacteria, that will continue to multiply. It's a natural part of the gecko's digestive system, but too much of it will result in an infection, and the gecko will have issues. I've actually had a bacterial infection with Lynetta before. It was several years ago, and it was quickly resolved. I cleaned her tank on a much more regular basis, and I still do now, for the most part, except for when I get a cold. But that was, she ended up, it was just a slight, she didn't eat for a while, and her poop was green and it stank, and it was pretty loose. But I just gave her, we cleaned her tank more often, and she was absolutely fine. So if you have some sort of digestive issue with your gecko, maybe the first thing you should check, other than like substrate impaction or something like that, should probably be, is my tank really clean enough? So I'm just going to wipe down all of the bleach water that fell, that ran down the sides of the tank. And I'm not sure if you can see, but there is quite a bit of it. When you're using enough bleach, you end up using a lot of bleach to the point where there is kind of puddles of bleach water in the bottom of your tank, which isn't exactly preferable, but I mean, if you get rid of it, it's not the end of the world. So while I'm just going to get off the stuff from the bottom, that's excess stuff here, and then while I'm doing this, the bleach is really just soaking into the walls, and pretty soon here I will be cleaning up the walls as well, because the walls will be completely sanitized. So I'm just going to do a really good job cleaning the bottom of her tank, because that's where everything was, and I want it to be really clean. But the walls can also get dirty, and I want to make sure that they are clean as well. And also, what I'm going to do, this is just a bunch of supplement here that I accidentally mixed a little too much, so I just keep it in a jar here. I'm going to move everything she's going to eat, or is going to come in direct contact with her, away from here, because I am going to spray the outside of the tank as well. I don't do this very often because it's not necessary, but I want her tank to have the outside to look clean as well as the inside, make viewing easier, whatever. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to stay away from my stickers, but I'm not sure how successful I'll be in that. In fact, actually what I'll do, I'm going to take a couple paper towels here and just put them over the stickers, if I can, so that they won't get directly sprayed and whatever bleached. That should help, hopefully. So now I'm just going to spray the outside of the tank, just lightly. Not anything like the inside. I'm not trying to kill germs, I'm just trying to get rid of smudges. I'm not going to let it sit for nearly as long for the same reason. I'm not trying to disinfect it. I'm trying to get the get the smudges to go away because I don't like smudges. My sticker's soon to be fine, so it's a victory. So I'm just going to really quick just make sure this is completely dry. I'm also going to rinse this with regular water as well as doing the bleach that I already did, because it is close enough to her to where I don't want there to be bleach left over that she could potentially come into contact with and become sick. Bleach is basically a poison, and so you need to treat it as such when you're using it with animals, that a very small amount of bleach could potentially injure or kill them. So just be careful with that. And this isn't very wet right now, so I'm going to continue to use it in here. So some of the bleach like sort of dried on because I kind of got distracted with the front of the cage. And if you look, it's very cloudy right now. That won't be a big deal because I'm going to come back through with it with a regular spray bottle with regular water in it. So that won't be an issue that it's foggy right now, but it's going to be completely or almost completely bacteria free now. So that's going to help the so as long as I can get the bleach out of it, it'll be completely safe for her. And not that it wasn't really safe before, but much longer could have resulted, like I said, in a infection. So I'm going to first locate my spray bottle and then fill it with regular water and then spray the inside and outside with that so that I can get rid of the bleach. So I'm going to do that real quick, as well as find a new roll of paper towels because I am almost out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have paper towels, and this is just regular water in here. So I'm just going to use the water first, spray the outside here, just everywhere I sprayed bleach. And I don't need to be as careful about my stickers now because of the because there's no bleach. It's not going to bleach the stickers white, and then just white stickers on my tank. Which I realize you can't see the stickers right now, so whatever. But so I'm just going to make sure it's completely dry, and then probably go over it again after I do the inside. I'm going to go over at least twice on the inside for sure, because the bleach, that's where she's going to come into contact with whatever bleach, and I have to be really careful about that, because especially because she has eggs that she's going to be laying soon. So I really don't want the eggs to come into contact with bleach, even less than I want her to come into contact with bleach, because the eggs are going to be much more susceptible to things like that than she will be. So same thing, just going to wipe out the inside now that the water's in there, and then hopefully this will help me pick up most of the bleach and get rid of that. And it still smells like bleach in here, but after a couple more rounds of the water, it will stop smelling like bleach, and after it stops smelling like bleach, it means it's safe for the gecko to be in there. Any bleach that's in there is such a small quantity, it's not going to harm the gecko. So as soon as it stops smelling like bleach, I'm good to put Lynetta back in now, or at least put the furnishings back in there, and then put Lynetta in there. So I'm just going to finish this, do it a couple more times, and then I will be back. Okay, so you can't really smell bleach at all in here anymore. I mean, there's a little bit of a smell that you just know is going to be there because you did use bleach in there, and it always smells of bleach after you use it. But it doesn't smell nearly as strongly as it did before, and it's all clean in there. So I think it's time to put Lynetta back in there as soon as all the other stuff is done. So we'll go back over there, and oh my gosh, it's supposed to be filling. It's probably way too full. Hang on. So I just shut it off because it was this full. Yeah, it's still leaking out of the crack in the side of the bin. So yeah, what I'm going to do is, it's definitely been soaking for long enough, so I'm going to just dump it. And look at how much is in the tub, oh my word. I'm going to just dump it, and then I will scrub everything up and rinse it off. Okay, I got my washcloth now. I'm just going to dip it into the soapy water and scrub off everything that needs to be scrubbed. I'm also going to grab a towel, which is here, because I'll just set that on the ground, and then when everything, once I wash everything, I'll put them onto the towel and then use the towel to dry everything off. So everything except for the cage carpet, which, like I said, will just be sprayed with fresh water until there's no longer suds coming out of it. Oh man, that's hot water. So I'm just going to scrub it up, and then I'm not actually going to rinse it right now. I'm just going to scrub everything off, because I'll rinse it in a few minutes here, and then I'll scrub everything up, and then I'll rinse them all together, and then I'll dry them all together. So Lynetta's water dish here, as you can see, there's like, it's a jar cap, so there's the ringing around the inside, which is fine, except for makes it a little difficult to clean, but I can still do it. It's not a big deal. So I'm just going to continue to just wash everything. With the hideouts, I want to be especially sure to get all the like cracks and crevices. Those are places where bacteria can easily hide, and if I don't get them all, then I still clean the tank, but it's not as thorough, and I'll need to do it quicker than I would need to do it if I had done it well the first time. So I'm just going to make sure I get every little crack and crevice of the hideouts especially, because they're the ones that have cracks and crevices, although the calcium dish also is kind of rough, the surface. So I'm just going to make sure everything's really well scrubbed on this, and then set it down on the towel. Same thing with the other hideout, and then the other dish. And then I'm thinking I'm going to rinse out the cage carpet before I do everything else, because I figure everything else can be rinsed afterward, because the cage carpet won't be getting in the way. Cage carpet is different to rinse out than all of these. Well, actually, it's similar, it's just more labor intensive. You have to make sure you do it really well. These, it's kind of easy because the soap doesn't exactly stick to them, but in the cage carpet, it like soaks in and makes it a little difficult. Wow, that is hot water. And if you look here, I started scrubbing it, there's a little more than there is now, but if you look here, you may be able to see, I'll turn on the light, there's calcium still in this dish even after it's been sitting there. And it's wet and it's slippery because of the soap. It's easy to get out, but same thing with bacteria. That it's going to be easier to get out, and a lot of it will be out, but unless you scrub it, it's not completely out. And you got to be careful of that, because bacteria is a lot more harmful than leftover calcium. But so now to rinse out this cage carpet, what I'm going to do is just lean it up against this tub here. We'll rinse it out with warm water, but not hot water, because I'm going to have to hold the cage carpet after I'm done rinsing it off, and I don't want it to be scalding hot. So I'm just going to rinse it out really, really well so that there's no more suds coming out of it. If you look right now, there aren't any suds on this side, or at least many, but on the other side, you can't really see it, but on the other side, it's full of soap suds that means it still has soap in it, and so therefore it's still not usable in Lynnetta's tank. So it's not completely done, but I'm going to flip it over so that I can get the other side. Same thing on the other side. And I'm just going to continue doing this, flipping it over every now and then to make sure I get both sides really well. But then eventually, when no more suds come out of it, I will wring it out so that there's not as much water, and then I'll hang it up to dry. And that could take, depending on just how wet it is, it could take, a couple hours or even up to, a day or two. But until then, I'll just use paper towels as Lynnetta's substrate. You can also, if you get a replacement one, you can use that. But I use paper towels because I have not gotten around to getting a replacement one. At this point, I really don't care. I can just use paper towels. So I'm just going to continue rinsing it out until no more suds come out, and then before I'm completely done, while I'm wringing it out, or after I've wring out just the excess water, but not all of the water I can wring out, I'm going to just rub it in itself so that I make sure it's just getting all of the bacteria that could still be in there. I'm getting it either out or loose so that when I spray it again, I can get all of the bacteria out. And that way, although it can harbor bacteria, I'm going to be getting out the bacteria, and that bacteria cannot be harbored. Alright, so now I'm just going to wring out all the water that I can. And I'm just going to hang it up to dry on the towel hanger thing here. And that could take, like I said, a couple hours or a couple days, but after it's dry, it's dry. So now I'm going to do the final rinse on these hides and dishes. This is going to be a quick rinse because it is mostly rinsed already. There's not that much soap on it. Just a little bit of soap that the water plucked down into it, so it doesn't need to be scrubbed to get the soap off. Just rinsing it off, and then I'll dry it off. Oh, like spit water in my face. And then I'll put it back into Lynnetta's tank after I drain the tub. So, yeah. So now that the everything's clean and dry, other than the cage carpet, which, like I said, I'm going to replace with paper towels temporarily. But the first thing I got to do to reconstruct her habitat, her tank, is the thermostat probe needs to go back where it belongs, right above the under tank heater. And I keep it there, and then calibrate the thermostat for whatever temperature I need above the carpet using a temp gun. That's just something I like to do. You probably could also get away with putting it above the carpet and seeing what temperature you get there, and then adjusting it accordingly. But I don't recommend doing that myself, just because if it got moved, it would give a different reading than what you calibrated the thermostat for, and it's very unlikely to move if it's kept down by the substrate. And then also, you'd have to set it for much higher, because air temperature doesn't heat as fast as the actual substrate, and it doesn't get as hot as the actual substrate. So you'll have to set it for higher than the, or maybe that's backwards. I didn't think about it. Lower. Never mind. So yeah, it's just not advisable to put it on top because it could get moved and give a different reading than what it should be. I like putting it on the bottom. I mean, I guess that's just me. But where did I put everything? I think I might have left. Okay, it's on the floor. I didn't see it. So I'm just going to put everything in there for now. The hides, the dishes at least, and then the hides. I know exactly where they go, and then I can reconstruct her entire habitat after I get the hides back to the correct places. And this is just a temporary setup because I'm waiting for. First of all, I have to get the vermiculite back in there, which I will do in just a few minutes here. Probably not on camera because it's not necessary to do in a cleaning video. But I'm just going to get that in there, and then after she's done laying, I'll get plants back in there, fake plants. But for now, this is just like a simple setup. And the substrate will be replaced back with the cage carpet after the cage carpet is dry. And I'm going to put some water into the water dish, and I'm going to put the calcium that I salvaged that I put into here. Let's see here. I'll put that back into the calcium dish, as well as some more of it from the actual container. And I need to get more calcium. I have some for the feeder insects, but I'm going to have to get more calcium. Yeah, this is just how it's going to be set up now that I have the cage carpet not in there. And that's how you clean a gecko's tank my way. You could also use the bleach or an ammonia solution, like I said earlier in the video, instead of Dawn dish soap. I don't like to do that just because I find that the Dawn dish soap works best, doesn't stink, and if I accidentally don't rinse it off well enough, it's not necessarily going to do any harm. I still try to rinse it off well, but if for some reason I don't, then it's not going to do anything bad to the gecko. I'm going to get Lynetta out of her shoebox and put her back into her tank. Here we go. She's just looking around because, of course, she's not used to the substrate, and whatever scents she's used to on the hides are not there anymore. So just look around, and then she'll probably go back into one of her hides and stay there until tonight when she'll really explore it. Of course, by then, she'll probably have cage carpet back in there, and the new substrate won't be there, so, I mean, kind of have to explore it now if you're going to explore it at all. But yeah, so that is how I clean my gecko's tank. Like I said, there are other ways to do it, and I'm sure that, like, bioactive enclosures, I'm not sure if you even have to clean those, if the cleaner crew doesn't just do everything for you. But I'm sure bioactives, if you have to clean them, you have to clean them differently than this, or at least any enclosure with loose substrate has to be cleaned differently than this. But this is how I clean it, and it works well for me, and this is how I recommend that people clean their tanks with this type of substrate. So yeah, that's how I clean it. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notifications bell, and also share this video and my channel with your friends. Also, don't forget to check out my website at herphusbandry.weebly.com. I'll put a link to that in the description. And like I said last week, if you have a suggestion for a video you want me to do, you can always go to my Facebook page. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And then you can just give me whatever suggestion you have on a some sort of video suggestion. So, yeah. Like I said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.